Mark returned to Lake Elmo, where he lives with his two daughters, his wife Tina, dog, and a cat. And he is an independent businessman, a consultant, strategist, and all of those good things. Having told you all of this, which is the kind of thing that somebody typically talks about when introducing someone else, I have to say that I met Mark when he stopped at my office to order some campaign printing for his campaign in District 41A for the state legislature, and I was immediately impressed. I'm reminded, since he's a military man, of the saying that I think perhaps it was von Moltke made in the 19th century about different categories of soldier. He said, somebody is both lazy and dull. All he can ever hope to be is a private. If he's dull but vigorous, make him an NCO. If he's smart but lazy, make him a staff officer.
Actually a general.
But the man who is both intelligent and vigorous is someone to watch out for.
Amen.
And that, I think, our speaker is tonight. So without further ado, I introduce you to Mark Wiens. Wiens, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Switzer. Okay, my prepared remarks were 2 hours. That's what Barry told me. But now that you've heard the introduction, I think I can pare that down to probably 15 minutes. Okay, I'm wont to wander. So I know I'm going to be told to come back, but I have to move. I have to have freedom of movement. He's an extremist. I checked it out. That was not true. But I am extremely handsome. So if you've seen any of the ads out there, they've got me pegged as an extremist. And they've never met me. They don't know me. And so I am going to surprise them. So as I came to think about, what do I need to talk to you about tonight? Well, let me talk to you about how this particular speaker came here tonight. It was a hot August day. Indeed, I can confirm what Michael said. I was picking up some literature from Bayport Print House. Lynn was there, she can testify. And I really did want to meet Michael, Mr. Swisher. An exquisite gentleman, and for kind of political reasons, because he's an owner, maybe I can get a donation, but really, he's got large tracts of land that I'd like to get some big signs on. So I found Mr. Swisher, and we sat and we chatted a little bit, and we were intrigued because we went back and forth, everything from the Romans to some esoteric things to the arts to modern politics and back and forth, to the point where we went down and sat on the couch and we carried on a conversation. I want to say it was like about an hour and a half. And when I realized that I need to get out and do some campaigning and tried to excuse myself, this is when Michael planted the question, would you like to address my group? And I go, why, certainly. What kind of group is it? What's the smartest people? Have you heard of the St. Croix Review? And I go, I think I have. And then he quickly hands me a copy and he says, read up on us. And that was the first step. And I agreed. And then he sicks Mr. McDonald on me. And it was funny because when I got the email, I go, Barry McDonald, Barry. That looks familiar, but I can't remember him. And then within a week, we saw each other at another meeting at Lake Elmo Inn, and I was speaking, and then I saw Barry there, and I immediately remembered Barry and I had carried on discussions at the River Valley Athletic Center some years back. I was still in service, and things happen in the washroom where you're cleaning up or you're out in the gym and you start talking, and all of a sudden Barry impressed me as a man of action and intellect, and he had presented to me the St. Croix Review, and so that click kind of came back, and then Barry said, yeah, we need a 2-hour lecture for CE for tonight. But that's not true. That's not true. But no, that's how tonight came to be, and I'm excited to be here with you all. I'm going to kind of do some of my stock speech stuff, but I do want to be interactive to the point of letting you know what I'm seeing out there, why I'm doing this, and that there is a hope. There's a hope that our country is not forever lost, but it is going through a cycle, and that we as its citizens that have an institutional belief in American exceptionalism, that we are coming back and that we are there. I do want to start with this quote. I've got a ton of quotes. If I'm getting to that, Barry, tell me if I'm doing too many quotes, but you'll recognize this almost immediately. In the arena, far better is it for you to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the great twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. So that's TR, Theodore Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents. I kind of consider myself a progressive when it comes to science and technology, and being honest about what science and technology can do for us. I'm a conservative by the sense that I live in a very conservative, traditional relationship. I have a wife, I have children, I have a dog and a cat. It's Fiona, or Fifi, and Oliver. And I want to live in harmony with my environment, my family, and those people around me. I'm maybe a moderate in the sense I don't want to destroy people that oppose me. I want to get to understand them. I want them to understand me and really bring them over to my point of view. But I know that anytime that I interact with anybody or a group, it will change them and it will change me. I'll learn something new. From my military experience, that for every environment that I was in, you read as much as you could before you got there, and then when you got there, you realize that maybe 50, 75% of that is accurate, but now it's the experiential part of being there. Who am I? Well, you kind of know that. I'm a normal guy of my generation, a mid-century modern American male. I've got all the great things about that, and I've got all the tropey kind of things about that. But what you must know is that I've got a tremendously strong independent wife. I have deployed many times. She has run the household and been there. She's also a professional. She's a mental health therapist. She's been a professor. She does wondrous things. She's probably better off without me, but we decide to stay together for our kids. 2 daughters, both in Stillwater. One's in middle school, one's in high school. And I'm reminded how human I am by these young ladies every day. And they give me some good tips sometimes, like, hey, Dad, that outfit does not look right. You could be bussin' if you got a new haircut. Or that's sky amazing, those new shoes you have. So there's a couple new words you can go try out when you get home. I think it's important to have relationships and stay in relationships, and that's friendships. When I get to the State House, and I really believe that I will be elected, and I don't want to be boastful about that, but I'm out there and talking to people, and they want to be inspired, they want to be hopeful, they want to see change that's meaningful. Having human relationships and being in a bonded relationship like marriage is a key element of understanding the dignity of life that was designed by our Creator. And I encourage, whenever I meet people and we get to know each other, it's just to find out what they tick. What relationships are you in? One of the things in the military that I was assigned, the most difficult task that I'm the most proud of in my military career is about a dozen years ago. We'd just come back from Iraq, and I had been given an assignment, I got a command, and I also had to provide some strategic planning capabilities. And the adjutant general, that's the top 2-star general in the state, said, hey, Mark, we've got stuff from DC coming down that says they want to know where we're at on suicide of our soldiers. And it's like, so we ran the reports, and we found out we had a certain number of suicides. And when we reported it, and we looked at all the other states reporting, we were the highest. And the general came back and it's, how did that happen? Because California reported a big goose egg. They didn't have anybody. And when we started asking, we said, well, nobody was in uniform, nobody was on duty, they weren't on a military base, so we don't take any responsibility. And the adjutant general said, that's the wrong answer. Whether we did something in deploying a person or not taking care of a person, we own that, and we're going to get better. So he gave me carte blanche to figure out a method by which we can help our soldiers that are struggling with mental illness or suicide ideations. I took that message and I went to the traditional things. I brought the chaplain in, I brought the medical officers, because typically when you have somebody that's having a problem, you send them to the chaplain, pray it out. You send them to the doc, okay, give them some drugs, shrink them, whatever it is. We got our mission to do. And I quickly realized it's much more complex than that. Chaplain goes, whoa, God doesn't work quite like that. It's going to be, we need some help. And I realized that this was maybe something more than just going to the specialists. What we need to do is what we do in the military all the time, and that is you put it through the command and control system. The people that know the soldiers the best that are at risk are their first line leaders, the people that they have the most regular contact with. And they should be empowered to be able to pull that guy out and say, hey, this guy just lost a child. That's, on the rank of things that can happen. Let's get him some help. Or this guy's going through a divorce, losing his job, losing his house, or maybe he's got multiple things. Maybe he's got a drinking problem or a drug problem that we're starting to realize. And so once we came to that point of using our normal command system and then augmenting it with the chaplain in the Medical Service Corps, the psychiatrists, and using the great Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program, we had a lot of connections in the community. And once fully implemented, we did not have a suicide for 13 months. We had, a crap ton of ideations, because the unexpected effect of implementing a program like that is you want people to report. They want self-report, or you've got somebody that's a first-line leader reporting on them. And that is one of the more important things that I accomplished in my whole military career. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm a military guy. I still kind of feel like I'm in service to a certain extent. I like fixing things. I like a challenge. And frankly, my wife gave me a direct order: stop complaining and do something about this. So I struggle with the concept of myself being at a profession that was at the highest level of prestige in American society, being in the military, and then going to the lowest level, lower than whale dung. So now I'm a politician, but I try to serve with that same ethic of being a military officer, a service member that really cares about his team that's around. So let me tell you a little bit about 41A. That's the district that I will represent. We, every 10 years, of course, go through a census, and then we redistrict. And I've got the most gerrymandered district in the Twin Cities, I like to say. It starts up at Grant Township, goes through Lake Elmo, goes to Baytown, goes over to Afton and down St. Croix, then comes across the bottom to the northern tier of Denmark Township and 2 precincts of Cottage Grove. I like to call it the meat between the buns of Stillwater and Woodbury. So it's a huge S shape there. And you get to see there are different, within that district, there's cultural differences between the folks that are in Lake Elmo and the ones in Cottage Grove. And the more I spend time with them, you just see, the wealth that is up in the Lake Elmo area versus down in Cottage Grove. There's a lot of people that are suffering. And when I go out and door knock, I have really three messages: kids, cash, and crime. And that goes to, on kids, it is really about education. It's that Minnesota has always been sought or thinks of itself as being a high education state. Well, we pay enough for it, but back when I was a kid, if you were below 95% on a reading test, then your school wasn't doing something right. At this point, we're like at 52% in the Stillwater School District for the third graders, which I think is an abomination. And we need accountability, responsibility, and transparency for our kids. And I keep my kids in the public school because my mom was a teacher, 30 years in the classroom. She received 2 crystal apples from the governor for Teacher of the Year. She was a disciplinarian, and she said kids need to learn, but they have to have discipline. And I can't really talk to her about what's going on in schools today because it just doesn't make sense. The however piece is people of means that don't want their children to be in the Lord of the Flies atmosphere can take their kids out and put them in different schools or homeschool them. We own the public schools, the public does, not just the parents, but the publics. We all pay taxes. We cannot afford to have a generation of future workforce not able to read, write, communicate, and be decent American citizens. The other part to that is American civics. I think there's a certain activist strain that is about that. What you've got to do to get your way is you got to scream, shout, pout, cancel people, call them names, do whatever you can do to denigrate them, to get them to stop asking you to do the right things. And we need to get back to American civics where we can have a boisterous, hearty debate from different points of view, and at the end, we either agree or we agree to disagree. And we go on from there because this is America after all. Okay, so one of the tools that I fall back on, I learned in the military, and that was I went to Ranger School, and Rangers lead the way all the way. Ranger School is one of those things where it's an intense physical thing, and I got in the best gym shape that I could. This is 35 years ago, so you imagine me, when I was a young man. And so I was preparing for it because I wanted to be the best I could be. That's the Army that I joined. And being in great shape and then going into a school that is going to destroy you. Because what they end up doing is I lost 35 pounds. That's because they were only giving us half of our normal dietary intake, for a 20-something, mid-century modern male. You're just, taking away a lot of meat from the guy. And they don't let you sleep. So half meals, half sleep, and that's to simulate combat conditions. And they put you in with a bunch of different people from different backgrounds. There's no rank or anything on. And you've got to figure out how to solve problems. And so some of the things are just obvious. Hey, this is what we all know how to do, patrolling, that kind of stuff. And then you realize there's factions. And if you remember the original Survivor, when that came out, where people would do evaluations, oh, he's too mean to me, didn't pass me the whatever, that original Survivor kind of got that same flair, where you were weeded out about everybody that applies, about half of them don't make the first cut because they're not in shape. And then when you go through, you have to do these patrols, and you start seeing the fractions where it's like there's a little group here and there's a little group there, and it's like we're not going to work hard for that guy because we don't like him, or we think he's an officer, or the worst thing you can be is a chow thief. Chow thief. If you steal somebody's MRE, because you're starving. The reason I tell you this story is it's about team building. It's about leadership, because you got to be beyond yourself. You got to figure out how to communicate with different groups of people to get things done. And at the end of that, I made some very great friends, and I learned more about myself than I care to share. I cannot, I'm a Snickerphiliaholic, whatever that is, but I can't walk past a Snickers bar without eating it. So that's one of the things that, that unfortunately I haven't recovered from. I talked a little bit, kids, cash, and crime. I do want to do another quote here, and this one is, the philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of the government in the next. And can we imagine if there's confusion that our kids are having right now about just who they are? They're spending more on social emotional learning than they are on learning to read, to do math, and those kind of things. What kind of confusion we're going to have in our society in the future. And another quote, all the resources we need are in the mind, and how powerful the mind is. For anybody that's in science, that is developing new technology, having the ability to think and be creative and the freedom to do that is awesome. The mind is key to victory. So one of the other things that I decided to do, I told Barry about this, I went to the University of Minnesota, ROTC. First duty station was Europe. I was in Germany, got to see the wall before, during, and after. 30 years ago, a generation ago, we defeated communism without firing a shot. Fast forward 31 years, we're flirting with communism again. Well, why is that? Did we just waste a whole 30 years on not teaching the right kinds of things? Well, after 9/11, I deployed to Desert Storm, did that, got out of the military, married, started business with my brother, and then got in part-time in the Guard. And then after 9/11, I wanted to get back in. And so I was lucky enough to get into a grad school program with the Army called SAMS. What SAMS did was very similar to the Army's leadership school and Ranger School, but that is all very tactical and physically focused. SAMS is a mentally focusing place where you go through and you're given very specific instructions that have a political objective, but you also have all these different international caveats that you have. So you have to figure out how to marry these things up. And then, of course, with any plan, the more complex you make it, the more possibility of breaking down. So you try to keep it as simple as you can, and you're dealing with cross-cultural people. And it helped me for the last two deployments of my career, which were for Iraq and Afghanistan, where there's obvious different cultures and how they interact and how we interact. And not to say that we were, when you take a look at it, were we successful in Afghanistan or in Iraq? And I will say, we won the war in Afghanistan, we lost the peace. We decided to do the decent thing and stay and do nation building, which we had no business doing. And we're here today and we're really rethinking that. For Iraq had a lot of potential. But again, the military doesn't run those things, but the military was forced to become not only the security force, but also run the diplomatic services and the other type of services that a whole of government approach would do. And it's something we wouldn't want to get back into again. That's not really what the military is made to do. Although I think we did a decent job for the missions that we were given. So the second thing, crime. There's another quote. There is not limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit. Okay, who knows who said that one?
Reagan, wasn't it?
That's Ronald Reagan. They're 100 points for Barry right there. I know, Mike, you get the next one. Got to be fast in on the buzzer. That's probably the second most important thing besides economics that I hear at the door is crime, whether it's the catalytic converter or it's carjacking. Everybody has either been a victim or knows at least a relative or a friend that has had a victimization. That wasn't before COVID, wasn't before this outbreak of crime. So we need to do something about that. And it's again, all politics are local, so having your own county attorney and sheriff's department actually enforcing the law is one thing. But at the state level, we have to figure out how to get the Twin Cities to do right by its people. And we're sadly lacking in that level. He has a right to criticize who has a heart to help. So I'm not the kind of guy that's just going to point out and blame. I'm the kind of guy, I'll roll up my sleeves, I'll try to help you figure it out. But don't be pencil drilling me on this. You got to be a part of the solution. And there's a lot of people that are not intending to they're getting rich off the situation, or they're getting fame off it without actually doing what they should be doing. So the third thing is cash and corruption, which typically is one of the first things people talk to me about at the door, is the gas prices, food prices, especially for retirees that are on a fixed income, that don't see any hope, and they know that this is going to be a crushing winter with fuel prices going up and not having a plan. Now, we can't fix everything at the state. We can't fix going into a recession or interest rates, but we can do something about the gas tax. We can do something about making certain that there's adequate power and it is not being oppressively priced, and it's available. So those are some things, and if we have a governor that we can work with, we can get it done much faster. Here's a quote. Let's see who knows this one. The impersonal hand of government can never replace the helping hand of a neighbor. Oh, Don, I thought you were going to do that. That was a fake move there. Sorry. Okay, does anybody know that one? This is a former governor, and he's DFL. And he's got 3 letters in his name that are all the same. And the Metrodome was named after him. Yeah, so that's Humphrey. I think Humphrey today would be a conservative Republican. The impersonal hand of government can never replace the helping hand of a neighbor. I mean, that's a pretty powerful quote. And of course, the frauds. I think about my time in Afghanistan. I was on a task force that did counter and anti-corruption, counter and anti-narcotics, no contracting with the enemy. We were vetting everybody that we had a contract with, and it can be done. That we have lost $250 million on the low end, and probably more like $500 million on this Feed the Future fraud. That's not including MNLARS, that's not including the Southwest Light Rail. We have a government that is not under control. And this goes back to accountability, responsibility, and transparency. I'm sort of sad that there's not more outrage about $250 million. What is going on? How could that ever happen? I can't even see, how could $1 million go to a fraud? Somebody's not doing their job. So part of this is going to be government reform. We've got to get government under control to do its job, do it right, and serve the hardworking, tax-paying Minnesotans that it's supposed to. Okay, here's another quote. We are all born ignorant, but one must work very hard to remain stupid. Not a president.
Will Rogers, maybe?
Will Rogers, good guess, wrong century. Founding father, but not a president.
Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin for 200, Mr. Swisher, very good. Okay, here's another one. This is, maybe the kids will get this one. Life is hard, and it's harder on stupid people. Codenamed the Duke.
John Wayne.
Yeah, Marion Morris, yeah, that's who said that one. I just want to say a little bit about, what's that?
They were looking to see who got it right. That was me.
You did get it right, Lynn. Okay. For evil to exist, good people need to do nothing. So that's a famous one. I guess we'll give it to the Brits on that one. I do want to take a quote. I'm getting close to the end. Are we close to 2 hours, Barry? Am I good?
Done fine.
Okay. So you guys Oh, man, I gotta pull out the spectacles for this one, sorry. Cultural, I found this one just very enlightening. The concept of cultural appropriation is deeply flawed and is being used as another way to silence the voices of some of those whom the advocates of our growing cancel culture disagree. It is clearly time to categorize it as the assault upon free speech, genuine diversity that it is. I thought that was key in the sense of what we're facing right now. And another quote, this guy was a president, and he said, one man with courage makes a majority. One man with courage. I would change that to be one person with courage makes a majority, but in his day, anybody? President, former president?
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson, correct, 300 over there. Okay, and I just want to remind us of the First Amendment. Let me just read this out loud for the record. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Not mostly peacefully assembled. Peacefully assembled. Not mostly peacefully assembled.
Yeah. Got the constitutionalists here. And the quote for this one, see if John can get this one. In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. In the time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Okay.
I think that's Jefferson.
Not a president. Animal Farm, 1984. Orwell. You are correct. I'm a high believer in American civics. This is that healthy, hearty debate at the end of which we agree or we agree to disagree. And we need to get back to that level of discourse. Being a leader, working, building teams, I hope with the integrity that I've been raised with and my view on the dignity of humanity, that I can serve the people of 41A well. And my last quote for the night is, whatever you are, be a good one. Whatever you are, be a good one. Presidential material, anybody got that one? Our greatest president ever in the universe, the solar verse.
Washington?
Oh, shoot, you're the Washington guy. No, this is the other guy.
Lincoln?
Lincoln, that is correct. This is Lincoln without the beard, by the way. Just wanted to mention this is a Lincoln without the beard. So that concludes my presentation tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm available for any questions. Please hold your applause. Thank you. Okay, who's got a question? Don.
I'm curious.
So am I. I'm curious as well.
You're aware that the Minnesota Department of Education is currently in the process of approving new standards, particularly for social studies and civics.
Yep.
That rips all our founding fathers out.
So let me tell you, this is one of the things I got involved with last year. I'm a volunteer with the World War II Roundtable. I'm in the executive board. We put on a program at the Minnesota History Center every month. We bring in, and there's still a fair number of World War II veterans in. I run the student outreach where we have middle and high school and some college kids come in, and we have a World War II veteran. We allow them to interact. And I've got teachers that volunteer with me that are on my team. When the new standards came out, and the teachers brought this up to me, it's like, Mark, there's no, they don't mention World War I, they don't mention World War II, they don't mention the Holocaust in any of the social studies or history standards. We said, we can't believe this. So we started networking with the JCRC, which is the Jewish Community Relations folks, and then a bunch of other groups to start letter writing and pushing back on these standards. And they added them in. They're in their third degree right now, and they've added those 3 events in there. But there's still a lot of other schlock in there that is maybe well-meaning. I'll say that. But if you've got all this stuff in there, but we really don't understand who we are as a people, that we're a freedom-loving people, that we believe in the Constitution, that we are here and we're the best thing going forever, then it's easy to poke holes in all the institutions that we have in the country, of which education is one. So I'm all about preserving what we have, and I am not giving up public schools to anybody that wants to hurt our children or groom our children or not teach our children like they should. They've got to do what their mission is. Okay, somebody else besides Don. Anybody from this table? Nope. Okay, anybody from this table? Nope. Okay, last cameraman, you got a question?
How's the battery on the mic?
And there's still a blue light. So anyway, so if no further questions, I'm going to turn it. Oh, Barry!
I haven't thought of it.
Is this the one I gave you ahead of time?
No.
Oh, shit. I had the answer.
So how do we tame the press? That's maybe an insoluble one. How do we win the information war when the press is against it?
Yeah, tell the truth. I mean, this is that whole thing about, one person that stands up against the tide that is telling you, no, the sky is, 2 and 2 is 5 and all this kind of stuff. You get that one person that stands up and says, no, that's wrong. We all know it's wrong. I'm not afraid. You call me names, you take away my meal ticket, whatever. I have to live by my conscience, and this is wrong. You get that first one, then people start getting confidence and they start coming out. And I think there's a turn happening against the cancel culture, because there are people that are on the other side of the political spectrum that realize that this is not good for the country. It's not good for anybody to have a roving band of hooligans just, running people out of town, calling them names, and then they can't talk anymore. I think their time is coming to an end, and I think the election this fall will be a statement on that. And I did relate to Barry today. I was here earlier today for the Last Man's Club. These are Stillwater, Minnesota guardsmen that went to Korea, 72 years ago. And there's about 6 of them that are still alive, and they had their meal here today, Last Man's Club, and they drink, whatever. But it was a neat ceremony. I get home, and the guy that is working on my irrigation system, blowing it out, he said, "Hey, are those signs for you?" Because I've got all my purple signs. I'm the purple guy. So I've got all my Wiens signs all over the place. And he goes, yeah, it is. And it's like, well, why'd you do this? I go, I can't, it's the Popeye axiom. I just can't stand it no more. People are telling me what I know is right is wrong, and so I can't take it anymore. But I'm not gonna go out and get mad and smash people in the face and stuff. I'm gonna be direct, polite, and help them out. And the more we stand against that, then I come to find out that this guy said, yeah, we can't stand it anymore. I'm running to be county commissioner in Isanti County, and my wife is running to get on the school board. So it just takes a couple of good people to do something. You remember that quote by Edmund Burke? Evil flourishes when good people do nothing. And many of us that are maybe conservative just want to be left alone. I want to live my own life with my wife, my 2 kids, my dog and my cat. Just leave me alone. But you guys have screwed everything up. You screwed up the economy, you're lying to us, all this kind of stuff. And the real people that make this country work and our community work aren't going to stand for it anymore. We're going to take the keys away from you. You guys go back to wherever you want to, do your own thing. We're going to fix things. And so I think the more people that do the letter writing and that stand and defy the deceit that's going on, we will change this. But this is an ever vigilant battle that we're in. And I don't want to say good versus evil, but obviously we're the, the good guys, so, and we win in the end. That's what I've been told. My mom's always told me that. Good guys win in the end. Okay, so thank you very much.
We win, they lose.
I think they come over to our side.
No, who said it? We win, they lose.
Is that a new property?
No, that's Ronald Reagan, not the Cold War.
Okay.
We win, they lose.
Root Rocky probably said it too.
Yeah. There's no substitute for.
Well, I think that it was Reagan again.
Yeah, Reagan.
But the other point is that that line has an immortality in cinematic history. Because if you've ever watched the movie Red Dawn, that line is appropriated by Patrick Swayze in that movie. So it's a good line no matter who says it, because it's the only one that counts in the end. Mark, thank you for coming to speak with us.
Yes, sir.
If there be no further business to come before this meeting, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Having been moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned, but our conversation doesn't. So please stay around as long as you feel that there is benefit to be gained by getting to exchange thoughts and ideas and pleasantries and everything else. So thanks again. It's been a smaller crowd this evening than we've usually had, but as ever, it's been a very enjoyable one. Good night. God bless.